Keith Thurman's never wanted the WBO. Okay, we don't really care about the WBO. When people talk about, oh, how come people didn't want to fight Crawford, this and that, and that, nobody was interested in the WBO. You know?
You called it the WB no. Why?
Yeah, the WB no.
Keith Thurman calls out Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford for a 2026 ring return.
I need y'all to get the likes up, man. Get the likes up.
So Keith one-time Thurman is in his campaign on send the contract so I can make a comeback. After his fight with Brock Jarvis, Keith Thurman still seemed to have some fire left. Still seemed to have some fuel in the tank. But Keith one-time Thurman called out Errol Spence, called out Terence Crawford. Now, I got to read some of the article from Boxing News 24. We got to, because our friends from Boxing News 24, even though I may not agree on their take, it's still funny the way they put everything out. And this is my favorite boxing website, okay? Boxing News 24 is my favorite boxing website. It wasn't before because it was so strongly opinionated, but I learned to love Boxing News 24 over the years, okay? And now, this is by the writers team. So he says this. Keith Thurman says he wants to fight Terence Crawford and Errol Spence in 2026. One time, 31, 1, and 23 KOs, states that he fights later this year. He'll be ready to make the great fights in 2026. He'll be waiting for the contracts. Then it says Thurman's wacky ideas for future. Thurman sounds like he's clinically insane with his wacky ideas. Like his mind is still trapped in 2016 and he's in the present year of 2025. He can't see the mess he's made of his career with inactivity, sitting on the couch, not fighting, and flapping his gums. This is why I like Boxing News 24, because they give it to you raw, okay? Whether you like it or not, whether you agree or not, whether it's biased as hell, they giving it to you raw. Then it says Spence, 35, hasn't fought in 2 years since his loss to Crawford in 2023. And we just did our reunion video the night that Crawford dominated Errol Spence Jr., right? Then it says, and he'll likely have zero interest in fighting Thurman if he does come out of retirement. So everybody's assuming Spence is retired at this point, right? That's a no-go. Keith wanted nothing to do with fighting Errol when he was on top of his game back in 2016 and 2017. And we all remember that. Keith Thurman was playing games with the big fish, right? We got to go down memory lane sometimes when we talk about boxing. Keith Thurman, for those who freshly new into the sport of boxing within the past couple of years, was really, really high-siding on guys like Errol Spence Jr. and guys like Terence Crawford. He was just too good to fight him. They ain't did nothing. All this other stuff, right? Then it says, Spence wanted to fight Thurman then, but there was no interest from one time.
How I feel and stuff at that stage in my career, and we'll have to see. You know, like I said, the Spence fight, the Bud Crawford fight, these are fights in my generation that I just think a lot of fight fans would understand why we're making these fights happen, and they're good fights. You already know they think that my style is tougher for Bud than the Spence style. You know, and we go way back from the amateurs. We were always in different divisions. We never had a reason to fight each other. And I would just like to run it one time for the game. You know, we never saw each other in the ring in the amateurs. We can see each other in the ring in the pros. And like I said, man, you became undisputed. You didn't see one time, you know. So I think we can make those fights happen. That'd be fun. But anything that manifests as we continue to work, and as boxing continues to change, it's always changing status and this and that. So I'm just going to hold my position, wait for the contracts, and hopefully hopefully really soon we got something fun and exciting that we can be releasing.
So yeah, man, this is what happened, right? Keith Thurman wants to fight now. Errol Spence been on the sidelines since his loss to Terence Crawford. We haven't seen him necessarily in the ring per se. Maybe about one time hitting the mitts, but we haven't seen the big fish, doing anything other than that, right? We haven't really seen much, but he definitely looks like he's in shape. So that's one thing for sure. Errol Spence Jr., I don't think he's retired because he's staying in shape, right? So he's staying in shape for a reason. Maybe he's waiting for the right time. I'm not sure what time this is, but I don't think he's going to be dealing with one time anytime soon.
Yeah, man. Ain't mad about it, bro. I don't know if Danny said anything to spark that. I don't know, there's a few things. One, you didn't beat up a champion, bro. I don't think that Errol Spence would beat Sean Porter. Okay. God bless you, kid. You're blessed. Everybody knows in boxing that it's timing. I don't really like to talk really down on fighters and take away. I hate people who just treat people like, oh, this guy's washed up now, blah blah blah. There's a lot of stuff being said about me and my career, but do I still think you just beat up almost nobody? You didn't beat up a real champion, kid. Everybody knows you put Thurman in the ring on that same night. Thurman wipes Spence. That Errol gets wiped by many people. Okay.
Then it says Thurman versus Crawford, a forgotten era. All right. And it says this: Thurman, 36 years old now, has been too inactive over the last 6 years for him to be considered a viable option for Bud. Now, I disagree because the fan in me wants to see this fight still, right? I still think this is a good matchup. I still think it's a fun matchup. And I do still believe that even though Thurman has been off for a long time, I still think that Terence Crawford and Thurman still is a really good fun matchup. Then it says, there's no interest from fans in that fight because Thurman is viewed as an older fighter from the past generation. Although he's technically 1 year younger than a 37-year-old Crawford, his inactivity and chronic injuries make him viewed as a fossil from a bygone era. Wow. This is what the writers are saying, y'all. That he's a fossil from the bygone era, that he is irrelevant, right? See, I want to see Keith Thurman back in action. I want to see him get some of these guys in the ring, right? And then if you actually watch the interview, and salute to Mill City Boxing, go check out Mill City Boxing. When asked about Boots, right? Real quick, I'm just throw this in here. They asked about Boots, right? He kind of skated right over that whole conversation and kept flowing. You know how Keith Thurman, once he gets going, he gets going. And he kept flowing right over that whole conversation. So I think he was pump faking on dealing with Jerron Boots Ennis. Well, so Keith Thurman, after you hear what he had to say, he said one time, right? He said at Crawford, you got undisputed, you know what I'm saying? But you ain't seen one time, something like that, right? But Thurman, you'll be lucky if Crawford even think about or even mentions your name, bro. You'll be lucky if Errol Spence comes out of retirement and entertains you, right? Me, in my opinion, I think it'll be a good fight for both guys for my own personal reasons. I think the Errol Spence and Keith Thurman fight, I think it makes a lot of sense, right? Errol Spence come out of retirement or whatever he's doing, fight Keith one time Thurman. You don't do tune-ups, go right up in there and fight Keith Thurman. It already has a backstory to it, right? That's the thing with that fight. It has a backstory to it. It just makes sense, right? It just makes sense for me. It just makes sense for Errol Spence to Keith Thurman to see who will win once and for all. It's just a lot of backstory there. Then with Crawford, it's somewhat of a backstory as well. Keith Thurman kind of was playing on Crawford too. Nobody wants the WB no belt.
I think he really hates that he was the 12 Olympics, that I had a little bit of a gap before him to make a name. And that gap, he's been beating who I beat, stopping people, knocking out Bundu to make a statement. You know what I mean? And no matter what statement he makes, the next question is, so what do you think about Thurman? And I feel that. And I feel that. And I feel like that can make you juggle down some motherfucking haterade. Okay? Eventually he's going to run out of options to make a legitimate, enticing pay-per-view match, right? His first pay-per-view against Mikey, whack sparring session people paid for. Whack. You know what I'm saying? Him versus Porter, that fight was good because Porter made it good. That's what Porter does. Porter makes a fight a fight. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna really, and he won the fight. But I'm still don't see EJ himself as a dominant, pay-per-view force. With the way that he boxes and his style. He's very picky. He takes his time. He fights his fight. Fuck the fans. And I get it, EJ. Fuck the fans. Win the fight. Do what you and Coach got to do to stay champ. I get that. I understand that Floyd philosophy. I'm walking out of this ring the winner today. That's very important. But, I know, like I said, he's going to run out of options when it comes to making one of a very exciting, enticing pay-per-view fight. He has Pacquiao now. It's perfect. It's big. Post-Pac, what you got? So be it. If he puts all his life force and energy to never see me in the ring, so be it. You know what I mean? That was never my intention. I always intended to fight him in 2020. I thought it was an Olympic year. I was going to beat Pacquiao. I was going to be the undefeated welterweight. This fight right now that's about to happen is supposed to be my fight. Thurman wins, this fight never manifests. Just doesn't even manifest, right? So only because of me does he get to dodge me. So if he really fully dodges me and throughout our whole career at the end of it, I'm going to know it happened because of me falling short of victory in the summer of 19.
We don't really care what Crawford says. Crawford's in a lawsuit with Bob Arum. Crawford don't know what to do, where to focus on making money at the end of the day. Crawford should know that it's simple. They came to me with a whack proposal, never put it in writing like I asked. Write it up. Stop playing, Bob. We don't care about you anymore anyways. Crawford don't care about you anymore anyways. But write it up, send it to me. It never happened, so it never happened. Who got a written contract? Sean Porter. Who got the fight with Crawford? Sean Porter. End of story.
So you good with that fight happening next though?
I don't care. This is what I do for a living. I just love to fight. We were amateurs once upon a time. I used to do this for a trophy.
And all this other crazy stuff, right? We remember all of this from years ago, right? Keith Thurman said a lot of things on camera over the years.
Opponents are just not up to par, in my opinion, with Errol Spence, Keith Thurman, Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, Amir Khan. I mean, he hasn't even fought a fighter as good as Amir Khan in my book, So, and he's accomplished so.
To kind of downplay guys like Errol Spence and Terence Crawford when he was in position, and these guys simply never forgot this, right? Now, will they forgive it and let bygones be bygones and really just say, let's go ahead and put on the show? I think it makes sense for Crawford in a sense to where, I beat Canelo Alvarez because he's going to beat Canelo Alvarez September 13th. All right, I still feel like I got something, one good one left in me, one last good one for the fans. Maybe I can give everybody a good Andre Berto type fight. Maybe that could be Keith one-time Thurman. Fight him at 160 or 158 or something like that. Go ahead and fight Keith one-time Thurman and get on up out of boxing. That's the only fight I'll probably be interested in seeing Crawford fight. When he beats Canelo Alvarez, that's probably the only fight that I'll probably be interested in seeing Crawford in. But other than that, Keith Thurman, man, I don't know, man. He's on this campaign. He's on this run to try to get some of these guys in the ring. Because he's saying that they know that my style is tough. Bud and them know, they know my style is tougher for Bud and, So he's kind of, poking the hornet's nest a little bit. But, Crawford, after Canelo Alvarez, who knows what's going to happen. If there's going to be a rematch, there's likely to be a rematch situation. There's even more money on the table. And then he'll really ride up out of boxing after that. So Keith Thurman may miss his opportunity just because of some of the decisions he made in the past. And yeah, man, it goes to show you, man. And that's like almost like in real life. Like a good analogy I would say will be, okay, you're the new guy coming in, right, at a job. Dude giving you a hard time. He's been there for a while. He's giving you a hard time, right? He's kind of giving you a hard time a little bit. You move up in the ranks, right? You do your thing. Boom. Next thing you know, you're his boss, right? Somewhere down the line in the near future, you become his boss, right? He needs you to be in his, you know what I'm saying? So the roles is reversed. This happens quite a bit. This happens in boxing. This happened in boxing now. This is what Keith Thurman is going through right now at his job, which is boxing. He was at top one time, right? He was the man at 147. Crawford was the guy coming in. You know what I'm saying? Errol Spence was the guy coming in. Remember, Errol Spence was the guy coming in. Let's start with Errol Spence first, right? Errol Spence was the guy coming in. He wanted his shot, right? Keith Thurman wasn't giving him no shot. You know what I'm saying? Errol Spence went and got the belt from Kell Brook. Keith Thurman still wasn't trying to give him no shot, right? So Errol Spence said, forget you, dude. Right? Errol Spence said, forget it. Right? Terence Crawford. Similar. Get up to 147. He was actually calling out Keith Thurman initially. Right? Because Keith Thurman was the man at the time. Oh, well, nah, man, get a belt first. Right? Go get a belt first. Crawford went and got a belt. Oh, well, nobody wants the WB no belt. You beat Jeff Horn. Then Keith Thurman proceeds to go fight Manny Pacquiao. This same Manny Pacquiao got beat by the Jeff Horn and Terence Crawford beat. I mean, come on, man. So you high-sided on Errol Spence Jr. Errol Spence actually eventually goes off and becomes the man at 147. Him and Terence Crawford eventually makes it happen. Right? And you on the outside looking in. Wow, the sport have moved on. Now they the bosses. Errol Spence is pretty much on the sidelines, right? But Terence Crawford's the boss now, right? Just like how you, in my analogy, the guy that is coming in, now you're the boss now. Do you give him a shot? Do you treat him a certain way? Or you show him that, like, you know what? I'm not even going to do you like that. Because I ain't on no sucker. I ain't on no sucker shit. Let that be a life lesson to you. Treat others how you want to be treated. You know what I'm saying? Keith Thurman was moving the goalpost on these guys at that time. So I'm not necessarily mad if they don't. But the fan of me do. Because I do think Keith Thurman is a very exciting fighter. I think he brings a lot to the sport. And it's unfortunate that he's been inactive for this long. It's unfortunate that he's been inactive for this long. Because there's a lot that I felt that he could have gave to the sport with his energy, his personality, and his fan-friendly style. But yeah, man, tell me what you guys think. Should Terence Bud Crawford, should Errol the Truth, Big Fish Spence Jr. give Keith Thurman a shot? Like, subscribe, holla at your boy. Peace out.